Hi, my name is Amy, and I will be guiding you through a gentle yin practice today focused on relaxing, restoring, reducing anxiety and stress, and just releasing some of the tension from everyday life. We'll want to have on hand a blanket, a block or two, and a bolster. And if you don't have a bolster, you can always use some couch cushions or pillows, just something that will prop you up and support your body in a few positions. So we'll get started. We'll start in Dandasana, just sitting up nice and tall, moving the fleshy parts of the seat out and flexing through the feet. And you can leave your hands by the sides of the body, pulling the toes, the pinky toes back towards us and pushing the big toes away. And just breathing here a few breaths to find our alignment. If you find the lower back is stiff and rounding, please use a blanket underneath the hips and the seat to lift it up and release that tension in the lower back. Breathing in and out. And next we'll begin coming into a half caterpillar. So we'll bring the right foot up towards the groin, lining up the right knee with the right hip. And you'll find that this makes your torso turn a little bit because that foot is pulled up. So we'll turn the torso to face over that straight leg. And I'm going to encourage using a block or two as we start out, just to allow the head to rest while we work to lengthen through the lower back. So we're not trying to round in the upper back as much as lengthening through the lower back. And we'll begin lifting up nice and tall, and we'll walk forward. As we shift forward, we'll focus on taking the right shoulder forward and down, and the left shoulder back and up. And then we can go ahead and round once we've found our edge. Breathing in and out. Always focusing on lengthening through the lower back with every exhale. We'll be here for several breaths. And we're not pushing ourselves into any position. We're just gently breathing into the body and allowing the body to relax into the pose with every exhale. We'll take our last deep breath here, inhaling and exhaling, releasing, bringing the hands underneath. For support, we'll press into the mat, slowly lifting up and coming out of this position pressing up and rolling up through the spine. And we can move our blocks to the side, bringing our right knee up and pressing it back out. And we might just want to shake out through the legs a little bit. We'll come into the second side, so bringing our left foot into our groin, adjusting so our left knee is in alignment with our left hip. And we'll set up as we did before on the other side. One side is usually more flexible than the other, so we're just going to be aware of that and not try to push any deeper in any position because we think we should be at the same level as the other side. Just honoring our body, facing the torso over the extended leg, lifting up and walking forward with the hands. Wherever the body goes, it goes. Reaching our edge of comfort, never pushing. And on this side, we'll focus our left shoulder coming forward and down, and our right shoulder going back and up to try to keep the torso level and the spine in a more aligned position. We'll fold forward, allowing the head to rest or hang. If you don't have any blocks, that's fine. The head can relax. We just want to avoid rounding too deeply into the upper back. Allow the lower back to extend and lengthen with every exhale. And gradually that lengthening will happen in the upper back as well. Again, we'll be here for 2 to 3 minutes, just focusing on our breath and releasing into the position. Our last deep breath in here. And as we exhale, we'll bring our hands in, press them into the mat as we support our body, lifting up and rolling up through the spine very slowly, very gently. Walking the hands in, allowing the body to reset. And we can take those blocks to the side for the moment, supporting the left knee as we bring it back in and press the leg out. And again, we can get a few shaking the legs out, maybe opening and closing. And now we'll come into full caterpillar pose. So what I usually do for full caterpillar is also use my blocks once again. You can use blocks, or you can also use your bolster. You can place the bolster forward, or you could use it to the side to rest over. I use the blocks because they're a little bit easier for me to shift through. So if you choose to use blocks, I will keep mine in this position. Actually, they might start out in this position because I can feel my spine and my legs are a bit stiff. So pulling the fleshy part of the seat back, flexing through the feet, elongating through the spine, We'll lift up and start walking forward. If you find that the lower back is rounding too much already before you start, you can always lift up and sit on the blanket, or you may want to bend the knees and maybe even put a towel underneath the knees rolled up so that you can create that length in the spine. And we will go ahead, walk ourselves forward, trying to elongate, and then when we reach the edge, we can fold forward, resting our head or our arms on a bolster or on the blocks, just trying to keep ourselves lengthened through the lower back. Try to keep the back lengthening as much as possible. It's not about how low we get. It's just about honoring the body and where the body is ready to go. And again, we'll be here for several breaths for about 2 to 3 minutes. So just deepening with every exhale, breathing into the spine and the hips and the hamstrings with every inhale, and releasing deeper with every exhale. Last big breath here. And as we exhale, we'll bring the hands next to us, supporting, lifting our head up off of the blocks and rolling up through our spine, lifting up. Slowly coming out of these poses very slowly, allowing the body to adjust. We can remove our blocks for the moment, and we'll just place our hands behind us and just open and close the legs a little bit. Let them relax out. And next we'll bring in the soles of the feet together for butterfly position. So pulling the heels in, sitting up nice and tall. We can hold the toes and the feet, lifting up through our spine. We can fold forward here. You can use the blocks. You can even go for a restorative position, placing the block in front of you and holding on and resting forward. You can do the blocks like we have done them, in the same manner, resting forward. And you don't even need blocks or a bolster for this. You can just always rest forward if you don't have them. And if you find that you're not very flexible in this position, you can always place the bolster in front of you and just rest the forehead there. Trying to seek a relaxation within the pose so that we're not gripping, we're not forcing, we're not pushing. We're just going to reach out and rest ourselves forward in the pose. And try to release the head without deeply rounding the upper back. We can release the head while trying to lift through the spine a little bit, elongating through the lower spine, the lower back. And if you do find that it's just a little bit much trying to hold the upper spine up, the blocks are always there. We'll be here for about 2 to 3 minutes. You can always take your poses longer if you want to go even deeper, up to 5 minutes or so, even 10 minutes if it suits you and it's right for your body. Breathing into the hips and the lower back, and with every breath releasing any tension that is being held. Gently we'll begin to press the hands into the mat, lift the head from any support that was used, and we'll start rolling up through the spine, lifting our body back up very gently, nice and slow and easy. We can remove our block and assist our knees, bringing them up to parallel and hugging them in with a nice tall spine, a nice lifted spine. And once there, we can just tuck our chin while our shoulders rest back and down. And we'll release this nice and slow and easy, taking our feet to the outer edges of the mat, hands supporting behind us. We'll come into a nice little windshield wiper, just getting some release in those hips. Next, we'll come and make our way to all fours, tabletop position. So hands coming under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And we'll get some cat-cows here. So inhaling to arch, face looks up, trying to relax the forehead and the face. Exhaling to round, chin to chest. Rounding through the whole spine and continuing to flow with your own breath. Inhaling to arch and exhaling to round. And we'll do several cycles of this. Take one more inhale and exhaling to round. Then we'll return to a neutral table position with our spine neutral. We'll begin walking our hands out, coming into a melting heart position. So walking our hands out in front of us and allowing the chest to drop down to the mat. You can rest your forehead on the mat. If that's not convenient, you can use a block to rest your forehead on, or you can also bend the elbows to take some of the pressure out of the opening in the shoulders and chest. You can also release your chin to the mat if you have that opening in the chest and shoulders. And we'll take several breaths here. Last breath here, and we'll slowly bring the arms back in just a little bit to support the body. And from here we'll bring the pelvis down onto the mat, laying onto our stomach, coming into Sphinx position with our elbows under our shoulders. And they can be a little bit in front of the shoulders if that's too much of a back bend for you. We're curving our pelvis towards the mat, and our feet can be together for a more advanced practitioner, or open at hip width for greater comfort. And just holding here. Several breaths, shoulders relax back and down, and you can lift the head up into the upper back as much as is comfortable for you. Holding here. Take one more deep inhale and exhaling, releasing the forehead down. And we'll just release in a Makarasana, so Head can go onto the backs of the hands and toes together. Heels apart, getting a nice release in that lower back. Here we'll begin to bring our hands under our shoulders, toes face back into alignment with the leg, and we'll press up and back. Hips will go to our heels, coming into a resting child pose. So your knees can be as close or as open as is most comfortable for you. And we will rest in hips coming to the heels as much as possible. Hands will come back to our heels, resting here. Everything. Rest in the shoulders, the upper body. Breathing into the lower back and the hips as well. And we'll bring those hands back to the front of our knees, pressing into the mat, lifting the head, rolling up into our thunderbolt pose, slowly rolling up through the spine, shoulders back, around and down. Terrific. So from here, our next position will be sleeping swan. So I would recommend having a block if you like to support the hip and a bolster to rest forward on, or another block to rest the head on. Coming back into tabletop pose, but with the hands just a little bit further forward. We'll begin bringing the right knee to the right wrist and that right ankle towards the left wrist or hip, and just allowing the body to settle into this reaching back through the left foot and just working to feel the hips being aligned and parallel, relaxing through this whole outer thigh and hip. And if it feels like it's going to be too much to sit in this for a few minutes, we'll take the block underneath that hip and buttock. And then from there we can fold forward, reaching out. If we're really reaching out, we can come here. For me, I personally like to allow my upper body to rest into the pose and support the lower body, stretching and focusing myself more into lengthening through the spine in a relaxed position. We'll be here for several breaths again, about 2 to 3 minutes. So just relaxing and breathing into any areas of tension, seeing if we can let go more. Anyone who has difficulties in this position or with the knees, you can always come back to Sukhasana, cross-legged position, and just fold forward there and get that stretch through the outer hip and thigh. Anyone with knee injuries, I would not recommend this position. Slowly we'll begin to come back out of the position, so bringing the hands back, pressing up through the upper body. And then we'll remove the block if we used one, or cushion or pillow. Flexing through that back foot, the left foot. We'll walk in the knee a little bit to lift through the hip. And then coming up, taking all of the weight off of that leg, we'll bring that knee back into alignment with the other leg. And I like to get some hip circles after that, but you can release in whatever way your body is calling to you. I'm going to take hip circles in each direction. A child pose might feel good if you prefer that. And then we'll get ready to come onto the other side, bringing the left knee towards the left wrist. So left knee comes up towards the left wrist, left foot towards the right hand or right hip. And just allowing the body to adjust into the pose, lifting up in the upper body as we sink down in the lower body. Reaching back through the back leg, the right foot, stretching out. And if you did so on the other side, and this side is equally in need of support, we'll put the block under this hip and bring the block under the forehead as well. You also may use the bolster to lay out on if that's more comfortable for you. Ideally, resting in the position that will give you the greatest ease in stretching. And I usually will lift my palms up in some of these positions. Not lift them, but face them up. so that I just release some of the tension from the arms holding me or pressing into the mat, and they're just relaxing and letting me, they're supporting me but not pressing. They're not being extremely active. They're just a support for the upper body as I look to extend my spine longer in every exhale, inhaling into my hips, my outer thigh, and releasing more with every exhale. If you do find that your breath is becoming shorter or you're extremely uncomfortable, then you might just want to back up into a child pose or sit in Sukhasana and take your fold there. Always listening to the body, never pushing it beyond its limits. And stay here for about 2 more minutes. And we'll take one more big deep breath here, inhaling and exhaling completely, bringing our hands to support us as we lift up off of the blocks or bolster or mat. Pressing back up. We can take the block or cushion out from underneath us if we used one. Set the blocks to the side and we'll flex the back foot, the right foot, and walk the knee in a little bit more so we lift up in that hip and bring that left knee back. And once again, we can get some hip circles here. We are going to go into a child pose right after this. But I just like to work through the hips a little bit before I head into an active child pose. So bringing our toes together, heels apart, knees will widen. Go to the outer edges of the mat, whatever is the most comfortable. If you do need to put a blanket under one knee or the other, that's perfectly fine. And I think we're going to take a restorative rest child pose. You can support your bolster with the blocks if you'd like to elevate, or you can leave your bolster flat. And we'll just reach out, leaving the hips on the heels. And we'll shift our head to one side. And we'll take a few breaths here, and then we'll shift to the other side. Just gently, we'll take our head to the other side so we stay balanced in our stretch. And gently, we'll bring the hands back by the sides of the bolster. Lift up through the head, press into the mat, lifting up through the upper body, rolling back up to a nice lengthened spine position. From here, we'll sit to the side of the heels, and we're going to come into a supported deer pose twist. So I'm going to keep my bolster on the back side of my mat. And we can come into deer pose starting in a butterfly position. And we'll just shift our body over to the one side, taking the back leg into alignment, so hip to knee, knee to ankle. And you don't have to use a bolster for this, but I prefer it personally. Helps to just get this relaxed stretch all through this outer side body. So we're going to create two 90-degree positions. So I'm actually going to bring this in just a little bit so my knee is off of my hip and my ankle is off of my knee here. And we'll create a twist over onto the bolster. If you're not using the bolster, you would just simply take the body forward. But I feel that the bolster just gives us a little bit more support. And coming into the end of this practice, the last few poses, we'll get some more supportive and rest positions to relieve any kind of tension or stress in the muscles and the body. You can turn the head to one side or the other, whatever is the most comfortable for you. I'll be here a few breaths. Just get a nice stretch through the side body. A nice twist, massaging the internal organs of the abdomen. Slowly we'll bring our hands to either side of the bolster and begin to press up, lifting up through the upper body. And we can come back into that butterfly position and just flutter a little bit the legs and the knees and just rest through that. Look at that on the other side. So taking yourself into a butterfly on the other side, we can bring in the outer leg and turn it in, placing the knee lined up with the hip, ankle lined up with the knee. And you can leave your other leg the way it was from butterfly. For me, I personally prefer to bring my knee into alignment with the hip straight and that ankle off of that knee. I feel like it gives me a deeper stretch in the outer back. And we'll ease ourselves over the bolster or forward on the mat. If you did so before, leave your head to the same side, the open side or the closed side, whichever is the same side you did before. We'll be here for several breaths. Relax and release. Gently we'll bring the hands to either side of the bolster, pressing up through the body gently, slowly, and shifting the body around and back into our butterfly position. We're coming into a supported butterfly. So I usually like to leave a hand's distance between my tailbone and the bolster, and it might need to be a little bit more. We're just focusing on supporting our rib cage and up, our mid-back and up thoracic spine as we ease back. And the butterfly position can be as close or as, maybe a little bit more relaxed distance. This is the moment where we're going to relax. If you need to put blankets under either side of your knees to feel supported there, maybe it's a little bit stressful letting your knees open in this position, go ahead and support yourself, because we're just trying to rest and allow the hips to open here. We'll relax back and situate ourselves onto the bolster, reclining and releasing. And you can also use blocks under either sides of the knee if that is more supportive for you. From here we can just open up our hands, face the palms up, and just rest here for several breaths, breathing into the hips and the groin, the inner thighs, allowing them to relax open more with every exhale. And also just a check-in for the neck and head to make sure the neck is lengthened on the bolster and there's not any crunching in the back side of that neck. And we'll take one last deep breath here, breathing into the whole body. And exhaling, we'll release, assist the knees up to parallel and just let them rest there a moment. And we'll slowly turn to the right side, supporting our bodies and pressing up to a seated position. Beautiful. Now it's time for our final relaxation, Shavasana. So you can use your bolster. It's perfectly fine. Or you can just lay flat on the mat. You can choose to lay with your head supported by a blanket, whatever is the most comfortable position for you. We'll come into Shavasana. I generally support my legs to give my lower back a rest. And since we are emphasizing stress relief and tension relief, I would highly recommend a bolster supporting your legs and your knees. Just get a little bit closer to the bolster and slowly allow the body to relax down onto the mat. Let the legs, allow the legs to just open and rest, relax, no tension. The arms at a distance from the body, whatever is most comfortable. Palms face up and rest here Lengthen through the neck, making sure the back of the neck is long and lengthened. Shoulders are relaxing down into the mat. And just sending the awareness throughout the body for any points of tension, any points of held muscles. Oftentimes we are holding some type of expression in the brows or the forehead. The jaw might be clenched or tight, so we're going to relax and release through all of those areas, the neck and the shoulders. Sending the awareness down through the body, the arms, the hands, the fingers, the torso, the back, the lower back, abdomen, lower abdomen, hips, groin, thighs, hamstrings, knees, calves, feet and toes. Becoming aware of our breath, breathing in, inhaling through the body, and exhaling, relaxing. With every exhale, feeling our body melt a little bit more into the mat, into the floor. Tuning into ourselves, our center. We'll rest here, allowing the practice to sink in. And I'll let you know when it's time to bring the awareness back to the world around us. If you'd like to take a longer Shavasana, by all means, continue. But for now, we'll begin to wiggle our fingers and toes, waking the body back up. You can rotate your wrists and your ankles. Maybe turn the head from one side to the other, just gently. Maybe stretching into one side, and then the other, extending. lifting the arms up above the head and bringing them back down. We'll bring our feet and knees up. You can press your bolster forward to make a little bit of space where you can shift over to the right side. Always coming to the right side. Lingering here on our side. Just taking a moment. And we'll press up through that left hand and the right, supporting our body as we lift back up into a seated position. We'll come into Sukhasana, easy pose. And just resting here, letting the energy settle back in, align. And tune into our energy, closing our eyes, feeling how our energy has shifted through the practice. Feeling more calm, more relaxed. More at ease. Bringing our palms together in Anjali Mudra at the heart center, thumbs against the sternum. We'll breathe here and we can chant Om one time to seal in our practice. Big inhale and exhale. And inhaling for chant. Slowly taking our gaze down towards our fingertips. Blinking our eyes open, allowing our eyes to adjust to the light. And lifting our gaze back up. Namaste. I hope that this practice created greater relaxation, relieved stress and anxiety, and has you set for a great day, a great week. All my best. Namaste.